What is up, everybody? This is the Climax coming at you with a brand new video. And to start, I'm just going to let you guys know I got into the Overwatch beta weekend like 2 weekends ago. It was one of the greatest experiences I ever had, and I'm very grateful that Blizzard got me into it. Now, this video is just going to be me explaining how I felt about the game while I was in it, what I think needs to be fixed, what I think should absolutely stay the same, and how good I thought it was. Basically, a kind of a mini review of the game. So, let's start. Well, first thing I want to talk about is the map design. The maps for this game are pretty freaking good. The one thing I had a problem with was only having 3 for the beta test weekend, which wasn't really a huge issue. But, Hanamura, very, very nice map. It's the Asian designed one. It has an arcade, which is like, and all the arcade systems have like all different like Blizzard Easter eggs and stuff on them. So there's like Fighters of the Storm, the Lost Vikings 6 or something like that. They just have so many really cool arcade things. You can just destroy everything in it. It's really cool. And they also have, when you leave the arcade, they actually have a UFO with a Murloc in it. So they have lots of Easter eggs on their maps, and they have a really nice feel to them. The design is really, really good, and I hope they can keep that up. Secondly, we are going to talk about gunplay. And gunplay in this game is very, very, very good, satisfying. It feels right. I feel like they did a really, really good job with it and holding it together. For the guns, there's all different sorts. Obviously, there's a sniper, there's bow and arrow, there's the Tesla gun, basically, which is what Winston uses, and it's literally just points, and electricity will go in all directions and hit the people in front of you. So there's a really high, there's some very simplistic characters, such as Winston, and there's also some harder characters to do well with, like Widowmaker the Sniper, or Hanzo with the projectile range and whatnot. So there are many different ways and play styles and feels and characters being like good, bad, and well, not bad. All characters are good. I mean, like for new players and experienced players. So someone that's not so great at like point aim and bullets going everywhere, they could just pick up like Winston and be perfectly fine. So that's my thoughts on the gunplay. I thought they did a great job with it. And this is where I'm going to talk about the abilities. And the abilities for the game all felt really, really nice. They melded together with the character. They worked really well. They all have a good use to them. So, like for example, I'm just going to keep using Winston. Winston, he has his leap. He uses the jetpack on his back, and he can like leap into the air and go into different areas. That can be used so much. It can be used as an escape. It can be used as an initiate to like surprise people. It's literally is just so great. He also has his shield, his bubble shield that he throws on the ground, just kind of like in Halo. And if you stand in it, nobody can shoot at you. But if they walk into it, they can attack you. So it's a really safe zone. They can destroy it if they keep shooting it. It's a very useful ability. And then his ultimate. The ultimate abilities in this game, a lot of people have said, oh, they seem way too overpowered. Well, they aren't, and they are. They aren't because they announce that you're using it 90% of the time. So, just to name off a couple, Reaper announces it, Pharah announces it, McCree announces it, Tobjorn announces it. Those are just a few that I know absolutely do announce their ultimate, like when they're doing it. Like McCree is, it's high noon somewhere, some shit like that. And then for Pharah, it's justice reigns from above. And for Reaper, it's just die, die, die. And he just yells that, and everyone can hear it, okay? So that's what the ultimates do to make it so they're not broken as hell, but the damage output that they will bring is quite crazy. So you always have to be on the lookout, because right when you hear some of them start saying that, you should be looking for them and to try to pick them off before they can do too much damage to your team. Because a really well positioned McCree with the enemy distracted, he can easily pick off the whole entire enemy team with his ultimate. Same with Reaper. So you always have to be ready to hear the noise to make it like swap around, do something like that. Actually, a really good counter to the Reaper ultimate I actually learned was the Zenyatta one. Because I dove in on an enemy team. It was all of them by themselves. They weren't paying attention. I teleported in, popped my ultimate, and Zenyatta completely negated all of it for the enemy team. Every single one of them lived, and I died, even though I got through the full entire ultimate. That was crazy. So clearly, there is a huge, like, counterplay within this game. And that was another thing I'm going to talk about. The counterplay is basically how it works. Like, unlike other shooters where it's like, are you really good at aiming? How fast are you at aiming? Where are you good at guessing where people are going to be, etc., etc.? It has some of those aspects, but it also is more or less based around the counterplay. So if the enemy team is built this way, you want to build that way to counter them so you can beat them. But if you start countering them, the enemy team can swap their team to make it harder for you to counter them, and then you can keep swapping your team, which I think is a really, really cool aspect of the game. And I think that's the only way this game should be played. A lot of people are like, oh, there should be picks, bans, etc., etc. No, that would not work for this game in any way, shape, or form, and I think Blizzard knows that. And that is a great thing. So, that is basically my thoughts on gameplay, but one thing I also have to say is we need something to incentivize the usage of supports. And for that, by that I mean there's the play of the game at the end of every match, and it shows always some heavy damage person or tank getting a bunch of kills, doing a bunch of damage, doing a shit ton of stuff like that. Well, supports kind of get fucked on that. And everybody wants to have the highlight. You feel good when you get a highlight. I feel good when I get a highlight. And that is why supports aren't really picked, because for some reason Blizzard doesn't have it working like this, like a big play. By a big play to them, at least in the system right now, is who got the most kills in the shortest period of time and did etc. etc. I think it would be really cool to see a Lucio or Zenyatta turn the tides of a fight with an amazing ultimate. Like, Zenyatta's can save the lives of everyone. Lucio's, same situation. Or it can put a massive shield on your teammates to make it so you can make that final push. And I think that stuff should be highlighted much more, because guess what? These characters really need to be like highlighted. The supports are one of like the most important parts of the team. If you don't have one, your team's probably not going to win, because you need healers, you need the supporting damage, the supporting health, the supporting movement speed, etc., etc., to really make it work. And they actually made the supports feel really, really fucking good in this game. Like, they're satisfying. You can still do damage, you still have a gun, you still shoot, or in Zenyatta's case, you fucking throw orbs at people like a goddamn savage. It's awesome. So they really need to fix up their highlight reel, is what I'm basically trying to get across. And the last thing I want to say is I really want them to add a ranking system, which I actually have now heard that Blizzard is planning on putting into the game. But the reason you need one for this game is right now the games really don't have a meaning to them. Like, you have a shit ton of fun in them, obviously. I had so much fucking fun of them, but there is no way to track how many wins to losses you have. There is no ranking system to see how good you are compared to other players, which takes away a lot of the competitive concept of the game. And if this game wants to be as competitive as people are trying to make it, with a huge esports scene and everything like that, it's going to need the ranking system. I'm very happy that Blizzard has been listening, and if they actually are putting that into the game, that is freaking fantastic. So, yeah. Those are my two complaints about the game, and everything else I think is perfect. I think the gameplay is great. It's just fantastic. If I'm going to rate this game here out of yes and no, I'm going to give it a yes. So go and buy it whenever it comes out. Pre-order it. Fucking get the Origins edition for all the skins. They're fucking awesome. I love it. Anyway, guys, this has been the Climax. Sorry for the shitty mic. My really nice one broke somehow and I'm pissed off. But yeah, this has been the Climax. See ya.